great conversation, of course, going way too quickly. I want to give each person up here a chance to talk about tangible solutions. What do you think we need to do? And I'll start with you, Lonnell.
So real quick, we need to make sure that every child in this city has a healthy early start. That's early childhood development, early child care. They're ready to enter kindergarten, ready to learn. And that takes addressing the family. We also need to make sure that our kids are reading at grade level by 3rd grade. We all know the correlation between reading a grade level by 3rd grade and the building of prisons in this country. It's a true correlation. We need to make sure that our kids are being educated properly to keep them from going down the wrong path. And anytime that a young person in this community expresses a need, we need to be prepared to address that need no matter what it is. If a young person is hungry, we need to make sure that they're fed. If a young person is not housed, we need to make sure that we're housing them. Whatever the needs of our kids are, we need to prepare as a community, whether that's through our nonprofit, through our business community and government, all collaborating, we're addressing those needs.
And I know of no one who would oppose that, but then we get into costs, and it's just, what you're talking about is astronomical. And I guess solutions, how do we do what we're talking about here and pay for it? You know, how do we do it?
Let me pose it to you like this though. You think about the cost to do that, think about the cost of not doing it.
Absolutely.
Think about the cost of letting these young people continue to go through a judicial system that I would love for people to put me out of a job. Put me out of a job. Take my salary, my staff's salary. They probably won't like me saying that. But the money that goes into the criminal justice system, we should be redirecting that money toward some of these solutions that we're talking about.
Okay.
First, the mayor's office in partnership with Juvenile Court Clerk, the health department, our grassroots groups like Gideon's Army, like the gang with Bishop Campbell needs to come in front of the community and make a public declaration that we have a public health crisis as it comes to black and brown men in this community and violence, right? And that these black and brown young people explain how that factors into the larger goal of what we want to do as a community that supports youth. But we're expressly talking about black and brown men and what we're going to do to offer hope and opportunity for these young men. Next, we get to the table. That group brings together and drafts a strategy that has equity, racial equity at the forefront of that, to make certain that we look at a lens through things which we look at justice and fairness within the system. As we craft that strategy and plan with grassroots solutions and grassroots strategies, we then look at the budget. How does the budget match up with this strategy and the plan? Now, we may have 8 points, but let's take the first 3 points of the strategy and start to implement them. How do we make certain that each individual, these young people are going to communities that have safe access to transportation? How are we going to make certain that there's job training within these communities? How are we going to make certain that these communities have access to quality, equal education where the buildings are not falling apart, where black and brown people go to school? Those are some of the first tangible things we should do.
And what do you think? Solutions? Are we ready for that? But solutions?
Well, I think they've articulated everything so greatly, and I would echo all of those statements. The only thing I would add to that is simply something that was prevalent in my household. I had 2 brothers and 4 sisters at home, and whenever one of us got something, it was always, make sure your brother has some too. Make sure your sister has some too. I would really challenge Nashville as a community to make sure our brothers and sisters have some too. Whether it's education, it's economic growth, it's business opportunities, it's loans, it's books in a school system. We got to get away from this whole segregated mentality that community means just the gated community that you live in. The community is Nashville as a whole. And if I get some, I need to make sure my brothers and sisters get some too, regardless of whether or not they look like me.
All right, very good. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.